Welcome, it's me again in my own words. Nobody else speaking on my behalf, my words. And what I'm here to talk about today, more of the ACA or ACAOA, Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. That might be a different acronym. In any case, you get it. So, what I'm going to read now, the problem, the problem. There is a problem. Many of us found that we had several characteristics in common as a result of being brought up in an alcoholic or dysfunctional household. We had come to feel isolated and uneasy with other people, especially authority figures. To protect ourselves, we became people pleasers, even though we lost our own identities in the process. I lost mine. I lost mine. Got it back. I'm walking in it. All the same, we would mistake any personal criticism as a threat. Mm-hmm. We either became alcoholics or practiced other addictive behavior ourselves or married them or both. Totally. Failing that, we found other compulsive personalities, such as a workaholic, to fulfill our sick need for abandonment. The first time I heard to fulfill our sick need for abandonment, I didn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. I've been doing the program for about 2 years. So now it makes sense. We lived life from the standpoint of victims. I was a total victim. Having an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, we prefer to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. We got guilt feelings when we stood up for ourselves rather than giving in to others. Thus, we became reactors rather than actors, letting others take the initiative. We were dependent personalities, terrified of abandonment, willing to do almost anything to hold on to a relationship in order to not be abandoned emotionally. Yet, we kept choosing insecure relationships because they matched our childhood relationship with alcoholic or dysfunctional parents. For me, I can't say, it wasn't my parents. I can't put this on my parents because it wasn't them. I had parents. But my experience, it didn't involve them. My dad was an alcoholic. He drank till he left here. But he was kept away. My parents split when I was young, and I found out, and not saying my dad didn't party before they split, but I found out that the alcoholism and it went next level because of the split. Well, not because of the split, because they weren't allowed to get back together. He wanted the family back together. Someone said no, and it wasn't my mom. So dad went that way. Dad went downhill. My mom went down her own hill. Okay. But this other dysfunction and this other alcoholism that I saw was not from my parents. But did I see the alcohol? Was I around the dysfunction? You bet. So let's get back to it. These symptoms of the family disease of alcoholism or other dysfunction made us co victims, those who take on the characteristics of the disease without necessarily ever taking a drink. We learn to keep our feelings down as children and kept them buried as adults. What you say? I had to do so much digging and unpeeling. Like, you hear about an onion with the layers. I had to do so much peeling. And every time you peel back another layer, ooh, it's painful. The more you learn, the more you discover, but it's what was needed. For me, I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak for me. And I had to go through, I had to feel everything and examine everything. Now, back to the problem. As a result of this conditioning, we confused love with pity, tending to love those we could rescue. Does that sound familiar? I did it. I did it. Guilty. Guilty. Even more self defeating, we became addicted to excitement in all of our affairs. Yeah, preferring constant upset to workable relationships. Now, the next thing says, this is a description, it's not an indictment. It's not to be taken personally. It's not to like, who, what, like who, it's not. And taking things personally and being offended all the time, that's an element of itself. That's a whole nother element. It's one of those layers you got to peel back. Well, again, nobody has to do anything. It's just what I did. It's what I chose to do. It's what I'm choosing to do. It's what I do every day. I examine myself. I work on myself. I peel back whatever needs to be peeled back, and I look at that thing inside and out. I'm microscoping that thing, slicing it real thin so I can see all the way through whatever I need to see and adjust however I need to adjust, whatever work that I need to do. And I'm doing the work. I do the work, and it's been painful. It is painful. That's just part of it. They say pain brings change. If you do the work. Because you could just be in pain, just every day, just being in pain, offended, mad, and not changing. But because I've been doing the work, I'm improving. I'm no longer confusing love with pity. I'm no longer loving those that I can rescue. And I'm no longer addicted to excitement. And I'm not choosing insecure relationships because they matched my childhood. Not anymore. So, in my own words, the problem, it's a description, not an indictment. Thank you.